On the news tonight, Governor Akeredolu lends credence to APC's progressivism after party records big wins in governorship poll. Peter Obi, two others file petition to nullify Bola Tinubu presidential election victory. 75-year-old grandmother sets family of 4 ablaze in Akure South community. And from the foreign scene, one protester dies as police fire tear gas an opposition leader in Kenya. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on the news. I am Oyewumi Ayinigbara. Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has declared that political progressivism, as embraced by the All Progressives Congress APC, is taking firm root in Nigeria and its tenets have come to stay. In a congratulatory message, Akeredolu rejoiced with the party's governorship candidates who got elected at last Saturday's election. Governor Akeredolu equally congratulates the national leadership of APC on the impressive outing at the elections. He said APC's victory in most states, despite challenges faced preparatory to the general election, is an indication that the party's message of hope and shared prosperity resonates with most Nigerians. He expressed appreciation to Nigerians for keeping faith with APC, assuring that the president-elect Bola Tinubu will justify the confidence reposed in the party at the polls. Meanwhile, recently elected lawmakers in Ondo State have been urged to be magnanimous in victory. Such gesture, according to resident and political scientists, will enable them to perform their duties to the delight of their constituents. Osrc's Saeed Aribisala reports that the lawmakers were also urged to stay in touch with the grassroots.
The election into the Ondo State House of Assembly held on March 18 has produced winners who will now form members of the 10th Assembly in the state. In that contest, 208 candidates from 14 political parties tested their popularity at the 26 constituencies across the 18 council areas. The All Progressives Congress claimed majority of the seats with a total of 22 candidates getting the nod from their people, but lost 4 seats to the People's Democratic Party, who won 2 in Akoko Southwest, 1 seat in Akoko Northwest, and 1 seat in Akure South. Beyond the elections, reactions have continued to trail the polls, with spotlights on the conduct of the electorate and lessons for politicians across board.
I think the electorates are getting better educated now in terms of putting into who they felt, and the political class also are being called to that challenge to be responsive to the electorate. This round of election has actually brought a serious leap from where we used to be in terms of our election in Nigeria. There's more consciousness now.
A political scientist, Dr. Adekunle Akinola, believes a post-mortem of the election will avail political parties an opportunity to re-strategize in the run-up to subsequent polls and understand the change in political dynamics.
The Nigerian masses are getting more informed. People, other factors rather than just party in power is now determining election outcome. In Akoko, out of the 6 local governments in Akoko, 3 was won by PDP and 3 by APC. It shows that our election is improving day by day.
Young candidates between ages 30 and 45 in Saturday's election in Ondo State won 12 seats, representing 46.1%.
I want to appreciate the youth of this state for conducting themselves peacefully before, during, and after the election. We keep to our promise because before the election, we had a series of meetings, series of engagements, and we promised ourselves of composing ourselves peacefully during the election. We did not allow ourselves to be used.
A public affairs analyst and politician, Ahmed Akindele, called on all members of the State House of Assembly just elected not to lose touch with the grassroots.
For House of Assembly, there is basic function they have to do, like that of active representation, oversight function, and also consult with their, I'm very sure, and also link their people, know their feelings, and feedback the state government so that they can move the state forward.
3 females won in the polls on the platform of the APC, an upgrade from 2019 elections, which produced just 1 female in the assembly.
People, political class that he turn around the economy, put food on people's table, give us accessible and quality education.
The 9th Assembly will eventually exit the lawmaking stage for the 10th Assembly, and expectations are that the newly elected House members will surpass the achievements of their predecessors. Sahid Arabisala, Osrc News.
In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission has declared the governorship election held last Saturday in Adamawa State inconclusive. The election umpire said its decision was due to the margin of votes recorded in the election by the contestants. The candidates of the All Progressives Congress in the state, Senator Aishatu Dahiru, popularly known as Binani, scored 390,275, while the incumbent governor of the state and candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Amadu Fintiri, polled 421,524 votes. The State Coalition Officer, Professor Mohammed Mele, said there were 69 polling units where elections were cancelled and therefore affected no fewer than 37,016 potential voters with PVCs in those units. And still on elections, hundreds of residents and supporters of the Labour Party in Abia State have staged a peaceful protest in Umuahia, the Abia State capital, calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to immediately declare Alex Oti winner of the governorship election, having scored the highest number of votes in the last Saturday's election in Abia State. Carrying placards with various inscriptions, the protesters gathered around the INEC office, insisting that the results represent the wishes and aspirations of the entire people of Abia State. They maintained that the Labour Party candidate is already leading with about 90,000 votes, with 16 local government results collated so far. Therefore, Obingwa local government area, with less than 27,000 accredited voters, as captured in INEC's data, should not prevent INEC from declaring Oti the winner. The protesters added that there are no justifiable reasons why INEC should continue to delay Oti's declaration. And the Labour Party LP and its candidate Peter Obi have formally filed a petition at the Election Petitions Tribunal in Abuja, challenging the declaration of Bola Tinubu of All Progressives Congress APC as winner of the February 25, 2023 presidential election. The petitioners are praying for the tribunal to declare that Tinubu was not duly elected by a majority of the lawful votes cast at the election. They specifically alleged that at the time of the election, Tinubu was not qualified to contest. Obi praised the tribunal to make an order cancelling the election and compelling INEC to conduct a fresh election in which Tinubu, Shatima and the APC will not participate. Similarly, the Action Alliance and the Allied People's Movement have lodged separate petitions to challenge the outcome of the presidential election. Also, the European Union Election Observation Mission to Nigeria 2023 has knocked the Independent National Electoral Commission for failing to live up to expectations in Nigeria's electoral process. The Chief Observer, EU Election Observation Mission, Barry Andrews, in his preliminary statement on the governorship and state houses of assembly elections, said Nigerians hungered for democracy and were ready to be involved in the country's democracy. However, he noted that the appetite was lost due to failures by the political elite and INEC. He said up until the postponement, INEC continued to abstain from providing information, limiting its communication to a few press releases and ceremonial statements, and hence failing to address public grievances and rebuild confidence in the electoral process. The EU will present and publish its final report, including recommendations for improving the electoral framework in the next few months. You're still watching Osrc News at 7. After the break, 75-year-old grandma sets a family of 4 ablaze in Akpomo, Akure South community. Please to join us there. Go. Thank you very much for rejoining us. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook OSRC TV Ondo, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel OSRC TV Ondo. And now to education, the Federal University of Technology Akure Futa has pledged to continue developing leaders that will make positive impact in different spheres of life. The institution's Vice Chancellor, Professor Adenike Oladiji, at a 2-day leadership retreat organized for members of student union government, said equipping the young minds to live up to the responsibility of their offices will make them global ambassadors. Osrc Saeed Aribisala reports that no fewer than 200 students were trained on crisis management, communication and dispute resolution mechanism.
Aside the yearnings for academic excellence, these over 200 students of Federal University of Technology Akure Futa have signed up for leadership responsibilities at various levels. Among them are members of the Students' Executive Council, the Students' Representative Council, and the Judiciary Arm of Student Union Government. Providing them a solid footing for optimal performance is part of the essence of this leadership retreat program.
I personally attach great importance to this gathering, as it is a valuable opportunity to openly and frankly discuss issues that concern us all.
Futa's Vice Chancellor, Professor Adenike Oladiji, who led other management members of the institution to the retreat, said building the capacity of the students' leadership remains key to the vision and mission of the Citadel.
We will continue to have constructive engagements with the students. I have often said that without the students, we will probably be a research institute. The students give us the identity that we have to be a university. In my academic and non-academic activities over the years, I have discovered the centrality of leadership in the pursuit of goals, whether as a family, an institution, in professions, or in nations. Everything depends on leadership.
Fighting among students, boycotting classes.
Delivering a lecture on the topic, Weathering the Storm of Crisis Situation, the role of students leaders, guest speaker at the event and the legal practitioner, Bayode Adaramola, tasked the participants on avoiding poor communication, identifying potential conflict points, embracing alternative dispute resolution, and engaging in advocacy.
Do not do anything that will make you not to get a certificate or make others not to get a certificate. And somebody, John Dewey, described his own as engages the development of those capacity in the individual which will enable him to control his environment and fulfill his responsibility. There is an environment to control waiting for you. And there are responsibility. Nigeria is waiting for you. The black race is waiting for you. May you not be a disappointment to your generation.
The Student Union President, Jesunifemi Ashore, and other executives expressed delight over the impactful engagement.
The retreat this time around has been very, very unique. I was here last year, not as a president, I was here as Director of Strategy and Innovation. And I can see a difference because we have a new leadership from the university management. You could see also that we had majority of the deans of our faculties here present. We had the principal officers of the university present. So it shows that the new leadership of the university management understands the importance of students as a major stakeholder in our university.
We've been able to come to their aid on emergencies, on law formulations and implementation.
At the end of the 2-day retreat, the management and students would have deepened their relationship, a progress that would further breed responsible unionism for the benefit of the school and host communities. Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
Meanwhile, Olusegun Agagu University of Science and Technology Okitipupa Osrc has fixed its maiden convocation ceremony for Saturday, the 25th of March 2023. The Vice-Chancellor of the institution, Professor Temiologun Orisha, in a press briefing heralding the convocation ceremony, disclosed that 26 among the 982 graduates from the 5 set made first class, while 307 at second class upper division. For the second class lower division, 488 graduates were listed and 161 with third class. It disclosed that the convocation ceremony will also witness the award of Doctor of Business Administration to the Chancellor of the University, Oba Frederick Obateru Akinruntan de Olugbo of Ugboland. The Vice-Chancellor said the university has signed memoranda of understanding with higher institutions of learning in the USA, UK, Brazil, Jamaica, the Gambia, and Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria. And still on education, a former registrar of Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, Professor Dibu Ojerinde, assailed the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission for alleged unlawful arrest. In a suit filed before Justice Obiora Egwatu, Ojerinde is seeking an order to enforce his fundamental rights following his rearrest on January 26 and his subsequent detention. The matter, which was listed on Monday's case list alongside the earlier money laundering suit filed against him by the Anti-Corruption Commission, could not proceed due to the governorship and states assembly election break embarked upon to judges by the Federal High Court. ICPC had accused the ex-JAM boss of diverting public funds to the tune of 5 billion naira and charged him with 18 counts of money laundering. An aged woman has allegedly set her son, wife, and 2 grandchildren ablaze in Akwomu community, the Akure South Canton area. The incident, which occurred in the middle of the night, remains a mystery to the people of the community. Osrc's Omoshiliola Adesoyajayi now reports.
On the eve of Ondo State Assembly election, the people of Akwomulono community in Akure South local government area of Ondo State woke up to the tragic news of a family of 4 allegedly set ablaze by their aged grandmother. The 75-year-old woman, Iforiti Oloro, who is a native of Osrc in Akoko Edo, was said to have set the house on fire at around 2 a.m. while the family members were asleep.
pẹ̀lú àwọn méjì pẹ̀lú driver tá lọ gbé wá ṣe dé Adé State Hospital ní Àkúrẹ́ wọ́n ní wọ́n lè treat ẹ̀ wọ́n lè fẹ́ wá lọ sí Ọ̀wọ̀ so láàárọ̀ tó òru yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ náà la dé Ọ̀wọ̀ láti dé Ọ̀wọ̀ wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí tọ́jú wọn.
The Olu of Akwomulono, High Chief Babatola Bajulaye, who spoke to Osrc through his elder brother Akinyele Bajulaye, said the community has contacted the family of the woman as well as the police authority while awaiting their actions.
Yesterday evening, the Kabiyesi called the people from his own town because the woman is hail from Osrc in Akoko Edo in Edo State. That they should consult themselves because they have a general meeting, and then the man promised that he will get in touch with his her son for evacuation because they have to move her down to maybe the psychiatric hospital.
According to the victims' neighbors, the couple, Victor and Rachel, who are business center operators, and their children started living with the aged woman about 4 years ago. They also said the woman had been behaving strangely as she attempted to commit suicide by jumping inside a well located at the house's entrance in April last year, but was rescued by community members.
The woman has been here for 30 years. Was a farmer. Later, she took to this business, going down to Bokoda, selling dry fish, and then the minerals, gogoro. It was a good behavior before this incident happened.
Have you noticed anything, or has the KBC been informed of any strange attitude about the woman before now?
No, just of recent. Everybody, when they came from Akure or Wena to buy these dry fishes from her.
When contacted, Ondo State Police Public Relations Officer Mrs. Fumilayo Odunlami Umisoya said the command has commenced investigation into the matter.
Police is aware of the case, although it was not reported officially. Of course, we have started working on it. The case has been transferred to State CID for proper investigation. It's more of a case of arson and murder.
Meanwhile, no arrest has been made as the suspect is being locked inside the house. Osrc confirmed that 3 of the victims have died while the remaining one is in a critical condition in hospital. Omoshiliola Adesoye Ajayi, Osrc News.
All is now set for the inauguration of the Owo Diocese of the Methodist Church and the interment of the pioneer Bishop Right Reverend Williams Egbetaki. Briefing newsmen at the church headquarters in the town, Right Reverend Egbetaki said his vision as the pioneer bishop is to work towards the expansion and viability of the diocese. Omoniola Hungbeji has details.
Over the years, members of Methodist Church Nigeria, Owo in Ondo State, have been clamoring to have their own diocese where the church headquarters would be situated at the ancient town to enhance evangelical works in the area. Having met the requirements as outlined by Conference of Methodist Church Nigeria, Diocese of Owo was approved on August 2022 alongside other dioceses by the former prelate of the church, His Eminence Samuel Kanu Uche. This led to the pronouncement of the Right Reverend Williams Egbetaki, who has spent most of his time as a lecturer and administrator in theology as the pioneer bishop of the diocese.
Part of the expectation is for us to break down, to expand this diocese and to create some avenues that will bring comfort to the citizens.
Speaking on his plan to transform his visions to mission in the diocese, Right Reverend Williams Egbetaki said the numerical strength and character etiquette of the church would be strengthened to populate the kingdom of God. He said the needed development could not be achieved because the headquarters of the church was situated in the state capital. But now, with the new development, the cathedral has started wearing a new look with the installation of needed accessories that befit its status.
At least to be able to bring the diocese to a very solid, sound footing of administration in terms of numerical strength. Not only numerical strength, but a character-laden etiquette church that will be able to affect the society positively.
According to the Right Reverend Egbetaki, prelate of Methodist Church Nigeria, His Eminence Olivia Abba would inaugurate the new diocese, while the Archbishop of Ibubine Diocese, the Most Reverend Olugbenga Fafiwa, will enthrone him as the Bishop of Owo Diocese.
The prelate of Methodist Church Nigeria, His Eminence Dr. Oliver Ali Abba, who will be accompanied by the Secretary of Conference of Methodist Church Nigeria, the Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Taiwo, and the conference lay president, Sir Ide, will follow him to to come and inaugurate this diocese, to give us authority and pronounce us that you are a diocese. We now start to work immediately after the pronouncement.
The bishop assured the visitors and residents of adequate security before, during, and after the events slated for Thursday, the 23rd of this month. Omoriola Humbiji, Osrc News.
The Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele has apologized to Nigerians for the glitches experienced while trying to effect various e-payment transactions. Emefiele made the apology at the Post-Monetary Policy Committee briefing in Abuja. The CBN governor admitted that some isolated cases still persist, but the cases were being resolved. He assured that all Nigerian banks are safe and sound, following the existing prudential guidelines instituted by the CBN to protect banks against collapse that will wipe out depositors' money. And now to the foreign scene. A smattering of protests against President Emmanuel Macron's plan to raise France's retirement age from 62 to 64 continued into the night as uncollected garbage raked in the streets of the French capital amid a strike by sanitation workers. Largely non-violent protesters were held in various cities, including Nantes and Marseille, where protesters got past police to occupy the main train station for around 15 minutes. In Paris, police sought to restore calm after 2 consecutive nights of unrest at the Champs-Élysées Avenue at the elegant Place de la Condé, where protesters. Several thousand protesters set trash cans on fire and protesters chanted as firefighters' sirens wailed. Still on the foreign scene, Kenyan police have tear-gassed opposition leader Raila Odinga's convoy in the capital, Nairobi, as he spearheaded the biggest protest against President William Ruto's government since he took office. One student was reported dead in Kisumu, just outside the capital city. Mr. Odinga accuses the government of being illegitimate and of failing to tackle the high cost of living. Akitunde Akishimola has more.
The leader of Kenya's opposition was tear-gassed by police during a protest against President William Ruto on the high cost of living in Kenya. Raila Odinga's convoy was repeatedly sprayed with tear gas as they addressed supporters from the sunroof of his car. Odinga's spokesman, Dennis Onyango, said at least 4 members of parliament were arrested during the protest in Nairobi, including the minority leader of the National Assembly and the Senate. Odinga has called on national protest as he attempts to express dissatisfaction with the president despite Ruto's promises to bring down living costs since assuming power in September last year. Inflation has remained high. It rose to 9.2% in February this year. Ruto said his government is laying the foundation for a healthier economy, including by cutting reliance on borrowing. Odinga has also called the reaction an opportunity to protest Kenya's election last August. He said the vote was tainted by fraud. Odinga challenged the result in the Supreme Court last year, but the court affirmed Ruto's win. Akintunde Akishimola, Osrc News.
And with that report from the foreign scene, we conclude the news tonight. But before we go, a quick look at the top stories. We told you that following the impressive performance of the All Progressives Congress in the presidential and governorship polls, the Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has lent credence to the party's philosophy of progressivism. The Labour Party and its candidate Peter Obi, as well as the Action Alliance and the Allied People's Movement, have lodged separate petitions challenging the declaration of Bola Tinubu of All Progressives Congress as winner of the February 25, 2023 presidential election. A 75-year-old woman has allegedly set her son, wife, and 2 grandchildren ablaze in Akpom community in Akure South Council area of Ondo State. And from the foreign scene, Kenyan riot police have fired tear gas and water cannon against demonstrators and opposition leader Raila Odinga's convoy as clashes flared during anti-government protests over the spiraling cost of living. And that's the news. Thank you very much for your time. Good evening.